A warm greetings, everyone. Today I will talk about the masterclass and magnificent strategic and managerial leadership style of the American businessman and captain of industry, Henry Ford, and his gigantic contributions to the role of strategic management, leadership, and business discipline. This YouTube video will cover 4 primary parts of the life of one of the most prominent figures in art business management of this modern world. Henry Ford is widely known as the car constructor, the founder of the Ford Motor Company, the pioneer of mass production, and the inventor of the moving assembly line, which many consider as the world's greatest contribution to manufacturing. In 1908, Ford started production of the Ford Model T, which has become one of the most successful automobile in automotive history. But his contribution far surpasses these excellent accomplishments. What are not well known are Ford's contributions to the just-in-time production, product platforming, mass customization, vertical integration, designs for maintainability, ergonomic considerations, employee management, and other features of the manufacture.
Detroit. At a time when the only means of transportation were trains or horse carriages, and the first automobiles were mostly seen as racing machines for the rich, this boy would later open a car company that would change the course of the automobile industry to what we know today. 35 years later, after his arrival in Detroit, half of all the cars on Earth were carrying his name. And that boy, Henry Ford, would become one of the wealthiest men in American history. This is that story.
The Ford's production system has become the characteristic American mode of production widespread all over the world. Henry Ford did not invent the automobile. He didn't even invent the assembly line. But more than any other single individual, he was responsible for transforming the automobile. He is regarded among the most influential people of the 20th century. In 1928, Henry Ford was awarded the Elliott Crescent Medal by Franklin Institute in Philadelphia, the innovator of Ford Motor Company. The early history of Ford Motor Company illustrates one of Henry Ford's most important talents and ability to identify and attract outstanding people. He hired a core of young, able men who believed in his vision and would make Ford Motor Company into one of the world's great industrial enterprises. The new company's first car, called the Model A, was followed by a variety of improved models. In 1975, 38 years after his death, he was inducted into the Junior Achievements U.S. Business Hall of Fame. In December 1999, in a poll conducted among the American people, Henry Ford was among 18 people included in the Gallup's list of widely admired people of the 20th century. Moreover, in 1999, the Time magazine included Henry Ford in its list of the 100 most influential people of the 20th century. Moreover, in 1999, the Time magazine included Henry Ford in its list of the 100 most influential people of the 20th century. He pioneered an industrial concept that is named Fordism. Henry Ford is credited with the development of Fordism, a concept in manufacturing that standardized mass production and consumption. The term first gained prominence when it was used by Italian Marxist philosopher Antonio Gramsci in his 1934 essay.
Ford and his team introduced mass production into automaking. And as demand for the Model T increased, they took this one stage further. They developed the moving assembly line. The worker had to perform a specified function in a specified time.
In 1938, he was awarded the Grand Cross of the German Eagle by Nazi Germany. In 1946, Ford was admitted into the Automotive Hall of Fame, an American museum. The United States Postal Service honored Ford with a 12-cent postage stamp as a part of the prominent American series from 1965 to 1978. He pioneered an industrial concept that is named Fordism. Henry Ford is credited with the development of Fordism, a concept in manufacturing that standardized mass production and consumption. The term first gained prominence when it was used by Italian Marxist philosopher Antonio Gramsci in his 1934 essay Americanism and Fordism. Since then it has been used by numerous writers on economics and society. Fordism is actively used in social, economic and management theories about production, working conditions, consumption and related phenomena. Although it was developed as a method to boost productivity in the manufacturing sector, the principle can be essentially applied to any kind of manufacturing process. The three major principles that constitute Fordism are standardization of the product, usage of highly efficient assembly lines, and higher wages for the workers.
That run on gasoline, thinking that it might be something that Thomas would not be accepting of. Indeed, Thomas was very accepting of it. He gave Henry credibility for what he was doing, gave him encouragement, and said, don't stop, keep going, keep working at it. That series of discussions that he had with Thomas Edison gave him the energy inside, the passion, and the ability to drive in terms of following his dream to work on a gasoline-powered automobile.
Henry Ford's legacy. Henry Ford had laid the foundation of the 20th century. The assembly line became the century's characteristic production mode, eventually applied to everything from phonographs to hamburgers. The vast quantities of war material turned out on those assembly lines were to the Allied victory in World War II. High-wage, low-skilled factory jobs pioneered by Ford accelerated both immigration from overseas and the movement of Americans from the farms to the cities. The same jobs also accelerated the movement of the same people into an ever-expanding middle class. In a dramatic demonstration of the law of unintended consequences, the creation of huge numbers of low-skilled workers gave rise in the 1930s to industrial unionism as a potent social and political force. Why he innovated. There is a prophetic story of how the 13-year-old Henry Ford got a pocket watch for his birthday and then proceeded to take it apart. He simply wanted to know how it worked. It was a character trait that marked the rest of Ford's life. He wanted to know how things worked and, just as important, why they didn't work. Ford was interested in every aspect of life around him. He explored innovative forms of education which, in time, led to the founding of the Edison Institute, known today as the Henry Ford. In a single location, Ford brought together dozens of buildings and millions of artifacts. It was one of the largest collections of its kind ever assembled, as well as a bold and ambitious new way for people of all ages to discover and explore the richness of the American experience for themselves.